All right.
We're live. Erica, you're muted.
Hello
Welcome
and
to.
welcome to UTB Blogcast 109. You didn't tell me you were pushing the button.
I said I was pushing the button.
I didn't hear you. It doesn't count. So we only have one topic tonight, and Brad is going to talk about it pretty much the entire time. So go ahead and start, Brad.
Well, no, it's a doozy. This is what we've all been waiting for, I guess you could say. That makes it sound like it's something we've been anxiously waiting for, but it's more like something we've been horrifically waiting for. And it is the answer of the future of BB10 and the answer of the future of the BlackBerry Priv. So last night, Alex Thurber took to Inside BlackBerry to speak about the Priv no longer receiving monthly updates, and also about I don't think that was Alex that talked about BB10, was it?
No.
Or was that a different post? It was just labeled as Inside BlackBerry.
I thought they were both Thurber.
No.
No, the other one was just Inside BlackBerry is the byline, and it was speaking about BlackBerry 10's EOL, but it's not now. It's 2 years from now. So I know there's been a lot of talk about this, so let's hear some of the talk.
Yay for 2 more years.
Well, I'll dive in and say that I'm not necessarily surprised at all. And if there was going to be any surprise, it would be to the duration of the support for BlackBerry World, etc. Although I guess there's another piece to that. But anyway, there's a pile of people out there that use BlackBerry 10 devices as their daily driver. We've all done and or still do that. And the difference between what's is today and what happens 1 year and 364 days from now or whatever is no different, but I don't think it's a surprise for a company that has, created a software company as opposed to a hardware company, ceasing to produce hardware. I don't think it's a surprise to me, or it should be to anybody else, that this is happening, I guess. Maybe I'm just rambling.
How about you, Roy? I saw you arguing in the comments at one point today.
Yeah, some sad wrote that because BlackBerry EOL the Priv, he very disappointed and he will go and buy a Pixel or whatever.
Yeah, I saw that.
So what happened when your Pixel will be EOL? Because every smartphone is EOL in sometime. Every phone have EOL.
Yeah, it's probably known within 6 months of buying it. Yeah.
So what you will do, you will stop buying Google phones and you go to buy LG, and then you will go buy Samsung, because every company EOLs their phones, because there is no reason to support if you look on the company side, there is no reason to support too much phone for too many years. We get used to the BlackBerry 10 that we got support for Z10, even when we had the Passport or the Classic, but it's in Android world, it's different, and we need to accept it.
Well, there's two.
The Priv going EOL is not surprising.
Yeah.
I think that Thurber even said it to us. When
Well, I think he said we definitively would not see 7/Nougat for the Priv. I don't think he definitively said that, 2 years was it for the updates.
No, he had said they would support it for 2 years. He didn't make any promises beyond.
That's right. Yeah, definitive being the word. But it's definitive today, right? Or yesterday.
But even then, I mean, that's what people aren't getting. They're like, "Oh, it's the end. It's all over," and it's not. I mean, let's break it down. Let's do it. Fine. Let's stick to BB10 because BB10 was first, right? We all loved BB10. Everybody here on this panel loved BB10, and we really hoped it would take off. We were out there promoting the heck out of it. We were pushing it. We did the I choose BB10, and we did everything that we could within our power to try and get people on it. It didn't work, right? There was a user base. We were the user base, and there's numerous other people out there that was a user base, but it never reached the point of where it could be profitable. All it was a drain on the company, and that can't go on forever, right? And I mean, we all have our own theories and maybe even tinfoil hat theories as to why that happened. Personally, I blame Facebook, and I really do. But beyond that, I mean, it didn't work. And they kept saying it, we're still supporting it. And now they've come forward and they've said this is the end, right? But the end isn't now. The end is 2 years from now.
Yes, it is.
Now, this is a company that has completely changed direction. They're no longer a hardware store. They're no longer a hardware company. They're no longer producing phones.
Or a hardware store.
Essentially stopped producing BlackBerry 10 phones 2 years ago. And they're going to but they're going to support those phones for another 2 years. So the newest of the BlackBerry 10 phones, that's 4 years of support from a company that no longer does that business. That is huge.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And I carry my passport every day. And it's not abnormal at all for a phone to expect 2 years worth of support, and it looks like my passport's going to end up with 4 years or more of support, and I don't have a problem with that. I think the only thing that people are a little bit miffed about is that the operating system is unfortunately not going to carry on. That's the sad part. The support, not unexpected. From a device perspective, I mean.
If there is someone disappointed that BlackBerry is not continuing BlackBerry 10 OS support after 2 years from now, he must return the movies that he lived in. Because we are 2 years without any new phone from BlackBerry, something like this, from the last manufactured phone.
I think 2015, 2015 would be the SE.
Yeah, and when the last BlackBerry 10 phone was released, 2014, something like that.
Yep. Unless you include the Priv, that was a BlackBerry design.
No, not including the Priv. So I'm pretty surprised that they still supported BlackBerry 10 till now. We had
I don't think anybody would have expected.
We have 3 years of supporting an OS that they're not developing, and we had 2 more years. It's 5 years of BlackBerry 10 support.
Who could possibly? And I mean, I know there's people in our comments, or one specific person in our comments, that apparently thinks that they should continue supporting the passport until the last user dies of old age. But realistically, who thinks that a company that's no longer, say Toyota stops making cars tomorrow. Say Toyota decides, hey, we're just going to make toilet paper now. We're out of the car business. We're making toilet paper. But we're going to support the 2015 model for another 2 years. You have a problem with it? We'll fix it for another 2 years. That doesn't happen. That never happens. BlackBerry is really coming forward and really doing something that is just not seen, not just in the mobile tech world, but in any world.
Well, all I know is that I hope Toyota doesn't make toilet paper, because that would be the shits. I'm attempting to keep a straight face.
I never heard about Samsung users that are disappointing because Samsung stopped supporting Samsung S6 or 5. And they will never hear it about when BlackBerry stopped supporting anything. Everybody goes bananas.
Yeah, and it's historical and hysterical, because it's, BlackBerry is a pioneer of smartphones, and so many people glommed onto that. Whether they still use a BlackBerry or not, they have an opinion about it, because that's just the way it is. What are you going to do? I can hand somebody my BlackBerry Motion today. I can hand them that. And it's like, well, why do you still have a BlackBerry? And it's just so unfortunate that people don't understand what it really is today. It's too bad.
So then let's move on to the Priv, which is, I still have the Priv. I still like the Priv. I'm thinking about putting my secondary SIM back in the Priv really soon here. I kind of like the explanation that they gave. It's another, it just kind of goes forward to show that, yes, we're more secure than other phones. Where they went on to say that they just don't require as much patching as other phones because of what they've done to harden and secure Android. Now, they didn't just say, hey, it's the end of life for the Priv and we're not going to update it anymore. They said it's not getting the monthly updates. Issue, they will still, how do they say, partner with their or team up with their partners to get updates for those. So it's still support. And that's one of the things that somebody in our comments today was the same guy that's saying he's going to get a Google phone, was saying how harsh this was. And it's like, again, this was a BlackBerry phone. BlackBerry's not making phones anymore. And him talking about Google, I went and I did a quick little search. I looked it up because remember, Google bought Motorola before. That you can say a Google phone now because Google now bought was HTC, right? Or a portion of HTC. So that they can make the phone. So you can make all these assumptions you want to make about what is going to happen with Google and HTC, because they said that they'll support the Pixel 2 for 3 years, even though the Pixel 1 was 2 years. But look what happened to the Motorola phones. The Motorola X, I believe, is I just went searching today. It was a 2014 model released as Google-owned Motorola. And in 2015, Google sold, or at the end of 2014, I believe, Google sold Motorola to Lenovo. Well, the Moto X, some of those models received the Lollipop update in 2015, and that is the last update it ever received. Period. So I mean, if you really want to compare apples to apples, this is BlackBerry getting rid of its phone division, right? That was Google getting rid of its phone division. BlackBerry is supporting their phones. Google did not. So I mean, if you really want to look at it, again, BlackBerry is doing something that nobody else has done, is doing, will do. Who bought Palm? Do they support those phones?
Not sure. I've heard that Google Pixel 2, like second version, whatever, that has 3 years of support. Google Pixel Original is 2 years of support. And I think the typical manufacturer's response would be someone akin to 2 years support. If you looked at all the averages, I don't know. But when you look at a carrier in Canada where I live, you're not allowed to have a contract longer than 2 years. And so this cycle of when you want to update your phone is sort of predetermined in some ways, outside of people who just want to buy a device unlocked from somewhere, Amazon, eBay, whatever, direct, and hook it up to their carrier for fewer dollars. People are sort of conditioned to get a new phone every 2 years. So
let's make things clear.
Yeah,
Stop supporting. It only means the security updates. It's not technical support. BlackBerry still.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, there's a difference between warranty and security.
But there are no.
That's a very good point.
Updates. And if you will check Samsung, I checked Samsung site for supporting, and there are three or four phones that are getting the monthly update, and all the other are getting quarterly update. But all the phones are at least 1 year old.
From a support perspective. Quarterly security updates, you said?
Yeah. All the J and A series get quarterly updates.
Yeah, and it sort of felt like that from when I had a D-Tech 60 as a daily driver. It sort of felt like over the last year, it was more of a quarterly update thing. With the Motion, as soon as I got it, it was an update, and so that was in November. And then just yesterday, I think it was, maybe the day before, I got December. So it's been current, twice, let's say. Interesting to see how other devices fare in that regard. D-Tech 60 booted up the other day, and was it yesterday? And it can't update. There's some Wi-Fi issue, but anyway, things continue to be updated.
Erica, you haven't said much. I know you were on BlackBerry 10 for longer than a couple of us on here.
I fell asleep.
Yeah, but you're awake now.
Not really. I didn't fall asleep. No,
Really?
I honestly, when I actually got the key one and experienced the Android OS on BlackBerry, I was sold. I was no longer convinced that BlackBerry 10 was the only option. So my mind has been, I've assimilated, we'll put it that way.
Such a bad term. That's what they say when they're insulting us.
Yeah, but Erica said it in such sort of a naturally geeky way that any other naturally geeky person would have gone, yeah, okay, I get it. It wasn't that bad. Yeah.
I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean it in a way that, you have to adapt to things as they change. And obviously BlackBerry decided to make the change, and now we all have to adapt to it.
So it's like a marriage is what you're saying.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay, just checking.
Now, one of the comments I received today said that, I forget how he put it, but he said that BlackBerry Android it is impossible for it to be as secure as BB10 because it gets monthly updates.
Because
that's just not logical.
Well, I think isn't he saying Yeah, isn't he saying that it needs monthly updates? Therefore, how can it be secure?
I believe that's the argument.
Right. Okay. Well, I don't know. From a if you could go and find the parts and stick them on a circuit board and download the software and put and sign the agreement with Google and make a phone and boot it up, and you would be what? You would be the same as so many people who have done that, only in a much more professional manner. And so is that secure?
No. What?
No, it's not.
When you talk about securing the OS, you speak about the core of the OS. So when BlackBerry 10 first released,
get it on the hardware.
BlackBerry secured the hardware. I just forget how to say it. And they secure the hardware. But in time, there are new breaches, new malwares, new things that you need to close. Even BlackBerry 10 now, it's not that secure because there are new things that on 2013 or 14 or 15, BlackBerry didn't know that even exist. So how they can secure it? And when we spoke with BlackBerry executives, they said clearly that BlackBerry Android is much more secure than BlackBerry 10 now, or at least in the same level. So BlackBerry Android is secure on the core OS level, but there are always new things.
Yeah. I mean, who knew that Superman was going to show up on planet Earth? Who knew? Then what are you going to do, right?
What is wrong with you, Dave?
Nothing. It's Friday.
But I mean, realistically, Android is the #1 system in the world, right? There's more users on it than any other mobile operating system out there. It's arguable if it's even the #1 operating system, period. I know more people use Android to get online than even a desktop operating system. So with all these people using it, are going to make that their #1 target, right? That's what's getting combed over. That's what people are looking at to look for these vulnerabilities and look for hacks, more so than anything else out there. That's the same reason why Apple's desktop operating system was seen as so secure for so long. It was simply because people were not trying to hack it because it had such a tiny market share. Well, now it's a larger market share and people are trying to hack it and they're finding out just how insecure it is. People are combing through and they're looking for these vulnerabilities. They're finding vulnerabilities and you have to go patch it. Now, an argument that I've said in our group with our BlackBerry 10 or die guys is that there's nobody looking for vulnerabilities on BlackBerry 10. They're just not, because the user base is so tiny. However, do we really think that there's not vulnerabilities there? It was made by human beings. There are vulnerabilities. The whole point of security, and John Chin in an Inside BlackBerry post, is that you've got to continue with security. You have to always be updating your security in order to have a secure product. And that's why so many of these IoT products are getting hacked, because people put out the machine, go back and do anything about it again, right? It's just out there. And as security vulnerabilities are found, then they're hacked and this and that. I think the reason why BlackBerry 10 right now is secure is because nobody's trying to hack it, because there's just not a target out there that, I mean, these hackers, no matter what we see in movies, no matter what we see on TVs, there's not some hacker in a white van across the street trying to get into my phone. They don't pinpoint it like that. They look for the biggest target that they can get so that they can grab what they can get from a wide area.
I get that. And I think there's a difference between your personal security and your and the vulnerability of the device itself. In other words, you know, the passport probably has no different signing to the software and hardware than the motion or the key one or the Priv does. Whatever. I mean, it's, you know, if those two things aren't exactly agreeing on what they're doing together right here, right now, it's not going to boot. So have a nice day. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So in those conditions, you know, that security, that security is there. Have a nice day. It's just, they're the same. From a personal privacy perspective, that's all on you, man. And you said it 1,000 times. And I've said it, you know, 800 or now maybe 700 times, something. Anyway, it's on you, your privacy level. It's just not the same as security. So I'm, you know, how did we get on this conversation anyway?
I don't know how you got into that portion of it, because that's not what I was talking about at all. I'm talking about a product that's been, that the last update was what, early 2016? Yeah.
I'm just saying that we're doing the same thing, and it's just as secure.
Privacy, that's different. I'm talking about security. The secure boot, the root of trust. Yes, that BlackBerry took what they're an expert at from BBOS and BB10, and they brought that to Android. However, that doesn't mean that there's not some way that somebody can get in. There's the, you know what I mean? That's one method of securing, and there can be other vulnerabilities out there. Mm-hmm. And when you've got the same company, the same BlackBerry, all of their efforts to constantly secure their current offerings versus a security update from early last year, you can't tell me that that passport is more secure than this motion. It's not.
I don't know. So are you saying then that the Priv now next month is less secure than the motion?
I'm saying the Priv next year may have some vulnerabilities to it. Mm-hmm. If BlackBerry looks at it and says this is a critical vulnerability, this is a day one exploit, they're going to get out there and they're going to fix it.
Right.
Hey guys, don't download this file and accept all permissions to it. It might not be such a big deal, right?
Yeah,
because I mean, realistically, the one guy that we know, Blackjack, the one guy that is harps and harps and harps on it, even he realistically says the reason why his passport is so secure is because there's no apps on it. Right? He says that. So I mean, and from going back to Dave's privacy point, yeah, that's true. Because you're giving up privacy depending upon the apps that you use, and that's your choice, and that's completely within your power.
It's on
now.
You.
BlackBerry does something on BlackBerry Android that it did not do on BlackBerry 10, which is give you the opportunity to monitor what those apps are doing. As far as your privacy is concerned, there's no arguing that BlackBerry Android gives you greater tools to monitor your privacy than BlackBerry 10. They were kind of getting into our third part of the story, third part of the plan for tonight, which is what comes next, right? Because I'm seeing angry BB10 users out there saying, well, that's it, I'm going to iPhone. Well, that just makes no sense.
I prefer to stay with an unsupported BB10.
Yeah.
I'm not moving to an iPhone.
Yeah, I'd prefer to go to a friggin' flip phone than an iPhone.
Yeah, well, we almost had BBX, so come on. Almost.
There's no denying that all of us wish that BB10 would have been some huge smashing commercial success. And I think that every one of us can agree that if BlackBerry 10 was some huge smashing commercial success and it had a huge user base, we would be seeing monthly security updates.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm crying, but I'm not crying because, you know I can use my passport as my daily carry for, I don't know, however long I want to. But, you know, you just hear the news and it's like, and you move on. That's what you do.
So other services are also coming to an end. So BlackBerry World is coming to an end. When was that? Does anyone remember?
I think it's
December.
the same 2 years. It's the same 2 years, yeah. December 31st, 2019, I think.
And then travel is in March, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sooner.
No, I think February.
Okay.
I think
It's sooner.
I think travel in February and playbook video calling on March. I'm
How
still surprised I
insane is
remember.
that?
BlackBerry Travel?
No, the playbook video calling is still supported right now. I had no idea.
I'm surprised that
I used it the
remember
other day. Yeah, I used it the other
that
day.
they have the playbook.
That's shocking to me that it.
Well,
that it's
I
still,
love the playbook. It's sitting right over there, and it's a wonderful piece of machinery. I remember picking it up in 2011, I think, and at the day of its release, I think I might have even pretended I was sick or something, and just went to a local store and picked it up. So playbook, gotta love you. Mine still works. The only thing about it is the USB port is non-functional. So I have that alternate magnetic charger to keep it alive.
to get the violent trolls from this, like we did from the playbook ending.
Violent trolls? What?
You know, the ones that made it their life mission to destroy BlackBerry after the playbook ended.
Yeah, the why won't my playbook get BlackBerry 10? Yeah.
I'd love to see some comments from our viewers in there. I do see people in there. Hi, Dana. I think this is your first time being here. Thank you.
Hi, Dana.
Yeah, he remembers that Thurber said he thinks the end of security updates late next year. He said that on our blogcast. And Andy says he's getting the key one again. Andy flip-flops between what he's getting more than I change my underwear. I'm just going to say that, Andy.
Or maybe we can just rename him Andy then. Just checking.
Brian says we can't comment. We're trying. I know, but I mean, that's the thing. I think this has been something that's been like a cloud over us as a community for a long time. That cloud of doom. Is it ending? Is it ended already? What's going on? And it's official now. We know. There's support for the next 2 years. Certain things are going to end before then. At the end of those 2 years, it's definitely over. So, I mean, if somebody is a huge fan and they're not planning on moving off, well, they got 2 years. And odds are the hardware probably isn't going to make it that 2 years. I don't know. BlackBerry's hardware
who knows,
runs forever. I'm just really rough with it.
I'm very careful with my equipment, so I expect it to last years. But the thing is that it's, I think a lot of us sort of expected it to be announced maybe even earlier, right? Everybody sort of expected it. It's whether you liked it or not. And to have a statement, making it definitive is, it's the kind of thing that helps you move along to the next wave. So
So the next wave, good point. All of us were huge BlackBerry 10 fans. We all, I know Dave came over on the
Still
Priv.
am.
Roy,
Yeah,
you came over on the Priv too, right, Roy?
Yeah.
Priv. Erica came over on the Key 1. So for myself, when I first jumped over from the Passport to the Priv, I was not a happy camper, right? I complained about it quite often. You can go back and listen to it on the old blogcasts. And
yes,
I always hated Android. I always did.
yes,
It was not efficient. It didn't follow the rules that I enjoy, which is the BlackBerry rules.
yeah,
And the first version of the Priv was definitely more Android than it was BlackBerry.
absolutely.
As updates rolled out, it became more and more BlackBerry. And I ended up really loving that phone. And now, like, I swear, the Key 1, I'm on the Motion now, and I'm still learning it. My problem is the keyboard. I need a physical keyboard. I will say the Key 1 is by far, to me, the best phone with the BlackBerry name on it ever produced. I have no problem saying that about the Key 1. How about you guys? Let's start with Roy this time. Roy, you've moved completely onto BlackBerry Android now, right?
Yeah. My BlackBerry 10 devices are turned off in the door. The first time I used Priv, wow, 2 years ago. It was nice, very different. I always checked for the flow, to the pick and flow. I really missed it. But when BlackBerry update their apps, the hub and more apps to be more like BlackBerry 10 experience, it's something different. I think, as you said, the Key 1 is the best phone I ever used when it comes to BlackBerry device. After that, I think it's the 9900. But
that's going way back.
Yeah, the Key 1 just gives you all.
Erica, get ready. We're coming to you after Dave. Dave, go. Because you still carry a Passport around, you said. So your experience moving on to...
The Passport's always on. It's always available. I got a Priv day one. I got a DTEC 60 day one. I got a Motion day one. I didn't get Key 1. I skipped it for some reason.
Because you're a day one guy.
I'm an idiot. And I skipped that one, but I don't have every BlackBerry ever made anyway, so you know, I get an excuse. When I went from I got a Z10 day one, I got a Z30 day one, and I got the Passport day one, and going from the Passport. So I love virtual keyboards is what I'm saying. I like virtual keyboards. I love the physical keyboards because when I got the Passport, it was like, wow. I've never used a physical keyboard so much. It's just beautiful. It made me so happy that I had that thing, and maybe it was the size of the keys and the width of the unit, but I realized that on the Priv, when I got it, I didn't like the physical keyboard quite as much because the keys were smaller and less tactile and less separation between them or something. It was a tactile thing. And I love virtual keyboards as well, so it didn't bother me to go to DTEC 60 or Motion. I don't know. Moving from BlackBerry 10, though, to I had a very open mind when I got the Priv. I just did. and it was early, it was day one, and like Brad said, you know, on Lollipop in the first version, it was, you know, not, it was kind of a shock. Once they did Marshmallow and improved the launcher for BlackBerry, it became very obvious that they could replicate an awful lot of the things that I was really interested in BlackBerry in the first place, which is their software and the user interface for the phone. And so I've been happy, I would say, for 90% of my BlackBerry Android life. And the first little bit of it with the Priv was a little bit hard, but acceptable. So, you know, I'm a happy guy with using my Android BlackBerry experience as a daily driver. It's a great piece of machinery, and I get a lot done with it anyway.
Erica, you jumped directly from the Passport to the Key One, the first one of us to get their hands on a Key One.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
did.
you jumped right into it as BlackBerry knew what they were doing with Android. How was your transition?
Well, I don't know if I ever actually mentioned this before, but I kept my Passport with me for a while because I was taking pictures and stuff for the site. But once I got all enough pictures, my Passport has basically been on a shelf. I haven't turned it on in months. So, I mean, my Key One became my daily driver almost instantly, and it was such a smooth transition that while I'm nostalgic for BB10, I don't miss it.
That's a good way to put it.
And I'm sure that people are getting their pitchforks and their torches ready for me right now as I speak. But I have to be honest. I mean, I like I said, I'm nostalgic for it, but I don't miss it.
And I'm appreciating that, because I get very much that same feeling. My curiosity is your feelings or thoughts about the keyboard physically going from a Passport to a Key One. You know, so it's a narrower thing, and therefore the keys don't have a choice but to be smaller. How'd you like that change?
First of all, Brother Neil, no, I'm not selling my Passport. I still have every BlackBerry I've ever owned in my possession. I won't sell them. Just to answer your question in the chat. But as far as the keyboard goes, I know one of the selling features when the Key One came out is that the fact that it was narrower, it could be one-handed. I never felt comfortable doing one-handed, so I've always been two-handed on my Key One. And I was obviously two-handed on the Passport because it was wide. So it was another just a very smooth transition. It didn't feel like I had to re-navigate the whole Alt key for the upper row of characters and things like that, because that was something I had to readjust myself to doing. But other than that, it was fine.
Nice.
Yeah, the keyboard, man, I
miss it.
I don't at all. Even the Priv keyboard made me realize how much I love the classic 4-row BlackBerry keyboard. I mean, when I was using the Passport, I absolutely love the Passport. There's no denying it. And I swore by that 3-row keyboard. You know, it took me, 2 weeks to get used to probably. And then it's like, okay, here we go. This is it. And honestly, moving on to the Priv with the classic 4-row keyboard, it put me off of the Passport. It did. Like my secondary phone, because I have 2 lines and I have a secondary phone, and I turned my secondary phone into the Leap. That was the phone that I carried with me. I no longer carried my Passport from the point I really started using my Priv. Once my Priv became my daily driver, the Passport went in a drawer. It's still in the drawer. And then the Leap became my secondary phone, which that should say a lot, going from, you know, the flagship BlackBerry 10 phone to what was really entry-level BlackBerry 10 phone, right? Going to the Key 1, it is amazing, the keyboard. I mean, it's just, and I do not miss the Passport at all. Someone asked me, I was on BlackBerry Brad's Berry Report podcast last night, and Anna Lou asked what I thought, you know, about the Key 1 versus the Passport, if I liked it better. And I'm gonna probably piss some people off right now, because again, I was a huge fan of the Passport. I even got to interview one of the people behind the Passport, and I just gushed about that keyboard. The Key 1 has made me really dislike the Passport. It really has. It's put me in an area where phones, and we were talking about this before we went live. We just had this conversation. All I think about the Passport now when I'm looking back is it was uncomfortable. You know, I argued that the work wide was great, and it was great. And I argued that people shouldn't be complaining that it's too wide. But moving on to a slimmer phone, BlackBerry keyboard, classic keyboard I've ever used before, I can't believe how much I love that Passport. I look back at the Leap with, as Erica put it, I look back at my Z10 with nostalgia. I look back at my Classic with nostalgia. Even my Q5. I don't look back at the Passport that way. I really have. I just, the Key 1 has made me dislike the Passport, and I didn't think anything would ever make me dislike the Passport.
I don't know if you're looking on the chat, but I think Wayno is opening a store trying to sell his Passport. And his Priv. I think we need.
He said he sold his Priv within an hour of putting it up for sale.
Yeah. The Priv is still pretty alive. So you can update the apps, you can use it, you just don't get a monthly update. It's not EOL. It's something different.
That is a good point. That's a really good point. Because I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, my Priv is going to sit right where it's at now. It's not going to get any updates. Well, that is a really good point, Roy, because you're not going to be getting the monthly updates, which most Android manufacturers don't provide the monthly updates. And the monthly updates, they are not monthly anyway. You might get them quarterly or every few months. But all of your apps, all of your BlackBerry apps are going to continue getting updated. The apps come available, you'll be able to get those too, right? So, I mean, you're absolutely right. Your experience is going to keep growing on the Priv. You know, we can go get Notable on the Priv. We can go get the privacy shade on the Priv. And those will continue to get updated. That's a great point, Roy.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just hijacked it from you. There's our silence. We can't go a blogcast without it.
It's our signature. Embrace it.
It was our moment of silence for BB10 because we know that it's only got 2 years left to live.
Oh, good grief, Brad.
Brother Neil says, let's talk about how BlackBerry promised an update after 10.3.3, but here we are. Now, I know they originally said that there's 2 updates coming to BlackBerry 10, right? And when Alex was on our blogcast the last time, we asked him about that second update. And he said it might come, right? He said if it did come, it would be more background stuff having to do with the certifications, right? If it was necessary for the certifications. So I know that a lot of people were hoping for more front-end consumer-facing stuff, the intention, and I would say apparently it doesn't need that update for those certifications because they're still providing support for their customers. Is Dave talking? His lips are moving, but I'm not hearing anything. I don't know what's going on with Dave. None of us can hear you.
No, you can't hear me.
There you are. Now we can hear you.
Sorry. I have no idea what happened there. in any case, they have contractual obligations, and so those will be fulfilled. You have to, and so whether that filters to people like us who wish to keep their BlackBerry 10 devices up to date, whether we see something else or new or a security thing or an update, I think that's probably where that comes from. It's a contractual obligation from here on to 2 years, right? They'll introduce their current customers to BlackBerry Android if they're not already familiar, and that's how that'll go.
And there was another update. There was an update that people found on the servers that was available for download that was never actually released, but it was there, right? I'm just assuming that it wasn't necessary. It's probably one that was there. They probably considered releasing it, but it didn't. I mean, the people that did the update, did anybody see anything new? No. Just had a different number on it.
I will add something that we said before, that if you use BlackBerry 10 on UEM, you will still be more secure. And so BlackBerry 10 enterprise users are still more secure than regular BlackBerry 10 users. So if you are BlackBerry 10 on UEM, you can keep your BlackBerry 10 for at least 2 years and not be worried about any secure breaches and malwares. Yeah. Anything else?
We know that BlackBerry was out licensing their stuff, right? Sounds bad, but they're very big on licensing. I'm not sure how to take that. Well, they're very big on licensing. That's a huge income place for them, and you know they said that they're open to licensing. BlackBerry 10's been sitting there. I guarantee you, people have tried to get people to license that operating system. It just comes down to if there's no base for it, it can't continue. And the fact that they promised another 2 years is so much, you know, it makes me completely justified in my loyalty to BlackBerry. For a fact, no other product, no other OEM, no other company would provide that level of support for me.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, it's, you know, not a factor anyway. And I think that, you know, for a guy like me who loves BlackBerry 10 as much as we all do, you know, that I completely understand where my where my end date is or whatever. I'm not going to get rid of my passport, I can tell you that. But it's different for everybody in every different corporation or person, whatever. You know, other people are going to be, you know, moving on or changing or upgrading to another BlackBerry product, TCL, BlackBerry mobile product, or whatever. Things just change. It's just the way business is.
And there's going to be a trade-up program. I can't wait to see what that is.
Right. That would be very, very interesting, because we all got a collection that we could look for an upgrade with. That would
be a trade-up program that includes those BBOS guys.
Come on. Yeah.
How long has it been since the last BBOS device came out?
I think Thorsten Heinz.
That would be 2013 or 2014, maybe.
Yeah.
I remember they released one more after BlackBerry 10.
Yeah, so 2013 was BlackBerry 10, and so 2014 would be the latest you'd have a BBOS.
I think with Wayno, you get a big discount for the reward.
You think?
Yeah, for the trading.
Yeah, I think
I somehow don't.
A veritable passport.
I don't think they're going to let you apply multiple phones. How many passports does it take to get a motion? That's what I want.
Oh man, like,
3.
don't go there. That you're just feeding me jokes. No, don't do it.
Brother Nil said in, because this is something we've talked about on other blogcasts. So Brother Nil said in the chat, what about a BlackBerry 10 OS television? And I'm going to say the same thing that I've said before. The reason people buy smart TVs, the reason BlackBerry 10 didn't make it was because of apps. So as much as we love BlackBerry 10, we need to understand that it wants apps and BlackBerry 10 doesn't have it. That was the death knell for BlackBerry 10, regardless of what we think about it. We're obviously fans. We obviously supported it. We obviously bought tons of phones. It just wasn't enough, and it wouldn't be enough for televisions either. Sorry to be a negative Nancy here.
Is it Brad the Bummer? No, that's not nice.
Yes, Neil, that's why people buy smart TVs.
Well, smart
Yes,
TVs have their own ecosystem, though. Lots of them do. And their app store.
What are you talking about?
What's that?
I've got, you know, when I'm getting into mine, I'm not looking at whoever the TV maker is. I'm looking at Netflix. I'm looking at, you know, HBO Now, and it's all these other apps. What else is there for a TV?
I don't know.
Heck, dude,
it depends on the operating system of the TV.
Well, I mean, I've got a Fire Stick in this one, and I can play Android games on it even. So that's what people want. You want to be able to watch Netflix. You want to be able to watch Hulu. Those things. That's what cutting the cord is all about now.
We don't have Hulu up here. We have Igloo. Just saying. Okay, no.
Membership just commented. I wanted to hear other people in here.
Yeah, anyway. Please.
Licensing QNX as a base, just as Android is built on top of Linux. It can be used in routers, set-top boxes, appliances, etc., but companies flock to Linux, though QNX is better. And yeah, he's exactly right, except I think that QNX is really growing. I'm not going to say that companies are flocking to Linux right now. I don't know. I really don't know what the numbers, the comparison is. But I mean, you know, we know that QNX is #1 in auto. We know that QNX is #1 in you know, those critical systems. We know that there is a
smaller, and
there's a vacuum cleaner that uses QNX.
Yeah. It's smaller and it's tightened and it's more specific and, you know, into niche markets. Linux is more of a generic or general thing that you can boot up on your Windows PC. If you're sick of Windows when you bought it, go ahead and load Linux on it. You got your choices, Red Hat, you know, this and that and the other thing. And then you're into what their ecosystem of security aspects are. That's their thing. It's a Linux thing. When you talk about QNX, it's completely ridiculously hardened. And there's the difference, you know, they're both Linux or X oriented, as is Mac OS, whatever. But the thing is, different people take different, you know, attitudes towards how serious they are about the security of it. QNX, QNX, or whatever you want to call it, is, you know, it's a completely much more serious offering than any other X offering is, as far as hardening goes. you know, if that's what you want for an embedded operating system, that's what you should choose. Or not.
So, do we have anything else? I just feel like it wasn't that positive of a night tonight, but I also feel like
I don't know. It's just,
we needed to
you
speak
know,
about.
talk about Christmas maybe, unless there's another one next week.
What is next week? Next week is, oh yeah, we won't be here next week.
No? Okay.
That's going to be right up to the wire of Christmas, and then I'm trying to pull my calendar up here. 22nd, that ain't going to happen. Potentially the following week is the 29th. We could potentially have one there because that's a few days away from New Year's and a few days after Christmas.
Well, if we ain't going to be here next week, then all I got to say is Merry Christmas to everybody.
Did you say anything? I heard all I got to say is, and then he didn't say anything.
Merry Christmas
Oh, Merry Christmas.
to everybody.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Wayno wants to know when I'm giving away the cameras. Once we're off of here, I'm uploading the video. The winners will see.
Good.
Cool.
It is.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. UTB.
Yeah. Happy holiday.